feel paralyzed. Now I know it's over. I see you passing by, hand in hand, with your perfect light. My body, a ghost town, feels like someone cut my tongue. I didn't know my heart could die this young. Oh, now when I look in your eyes, I feel.
Hello and welcome to the Space Force tournament where I, Belly W, will be casting with the very wonderful Moxie. Hello.
Hey guys, and hello Belle. I'm actually kind of excited for this one. Belle, it's our first time casting for the Space Force tournaments.
It is the first time casting for the Space Force tournament. Let's see, Force TV, there we are. It is indeed the first time that we're casting this, so this is new for us. But we should be grand as we've got some cool games coming up between AVX and one of Space Force's own teams, Eclipse.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to this, especially because you were actually telling me a little bit earlier, Belle. This is a 2-2-2 enforced competition, which
Exactly.
means no goats.
There is indeed no goats. There is no triple DPS. It is all 2-2-2. So we'll be seeing 2-2-2. One thing that I also need to see is my controller.
That
Because,
would
hey,
probably help to find your camera angle.
Indeed. So as a general disclaimer, sorry. My speech is going great today, so as a caster, this is perfect. As a general disclaimer, what I always want to get out there, this is a one-man production. This means I am pressing all the buttons, I'm making sure that everything is working, I'm making sure that the scenes are switched and everything, blah blah blah. What that means is stuff probably can and will go wrong. Scores might not be updated immediately. The teams might be just the other way around. Bear with me, there's a lot of buttons, there's a lot of stuff to edit in between rounds and everything. So with that out of the way, we should be seeing the teams coming in pretty soon. We've got 5 minutes to kill a bit of time before we actually start. My cable is underneath my desk here. There we go.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what cables are supposed to be. I would rather be underneath than over it.
Indeed. Well, we can have a look quickly at the teams. Let's see. We've got on the overview, we have first AVX. There we've got Kiwi, Lucas Merlin, Ike, Muppet, Phosphor, and Darky Phoenix. I don't think did we get some more information about AVX? I mean, we got some information about the players, didn't we?
Yeah, we got some information about the players. And they did actually say that they're going to pop off in the tournament with the power of Twitch Prime.
Well, make sure to use Twitch Prime indeed for Space Force, for me, for Moxie, for whoever you want to support in this whole ordeal. We're always all welcome for it. And with that, you shall power up AVX for this tournament.
Send them your energy.
Send them your money, essentially. I mean, they've got Lucas Merlin, who does game design for an education, so maybe he knows the intricacies of Overwatch and
Well,
have the
I
edge.
kind of actually want to see Kiwi prove the fact that he gave us. The team says that he can down a bottle of water in 1 second. I want to see this, Bella. I don't believe
Oh,
it.
hold on. I can't actually show this. I may be able to show this on stream. Hold on. We're
Did you send the
gonna
video?
attempt. We got sent a GIF. So let me see. Let's see this. I will also just send this to you so you can see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna have to paint a picture with words, pal.
Exactly. It's gonna be straight up on the screen. We are currently also getting invited here.
Oh wow.
Let's see. Hey, we also are in live. That is indeed the thing. I am currently in the process of finding this thing. So let's do a media source. Let's add a source. Just add this one. Sure, why not? Browse in the downloads and go for that one. So that's that.
I mean, he proved it.
He did prove it. So that is now shown on stream. We can also take a quick look at Eclipse while we're doing this. Where we've got Trading Bot Ludwig on the tanks, Mobius 1, PC Viking on the DPS, and Peach and Magic Nakti on the supports. So let's see, what do we have for Space Force? Yeah, they've got some information, like for example Ludwig, who is new to the team and very eager to prove his worth. So look out for him.
They've been together for 8 months, haven't they?
They have indeed. I'm gonna quickly, however, pop out chat so I can actually see chat, because that is always nice to have. Let's see. So we have that there. So yes, that is the Eclipse team. Let's see. Making sure that everyone can see everything.
So many buttons being pressed.
There is all of the buttons.
Them.
I mean, this was me typing in chat. Let's see. I'm just saying for us that we are ready. Because we are indeed ready to go into this map. The first map will be Lijiang Tower, as it looks like.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one that you see quite a bit. Everybody likes Lijiang, but you can run so much on it, and especially with this being a 2-2-2 log, I can imagine that a lot of people are actually going to be going with the Pharah.
On Gardens, yes. On Control Tower and Night Market, yeah. But indeed, we have the 2-2-2 log, which is now on PTR, and I mean, if I may be entirely honest, I apologize for the burp. If I may be entirely honest, we've been trying it out on the PTR, and I mean, it's just so much more fun. I don't know.
It's so fun.
I'm actually, okay, so one thing I actually want to discuss. Well, bring up. In competitive queue, I like this. But in team-based, that is a whole different story. Like, now you're in a team, like, you don't have random people, so you don't have people that are just gonna go 5 DPS and 1 support. So in team base, I can understand where indeed some people might be like, yeah, I'm not sure whether this will go okay. I'm personally a fan, forcing that we'll see some DPS, so I hope to see some good DPS.
Yeah, well, what it's going to actually do is it's going to see an end to the triple DPS, quadruple DPS Hammond composition spell. So I think Hammond's going to actually fall a little bit out of favor in the coming meta.
Hammond might, I'm not sure. Like, you can still have dive comps with Hammond as a main tank or off tank. So you can go Winston Hammond for just the harass maximum, or Hammond Diva, where Hammond is your main tank, you just don't have a shield. So if you do that with indeed, say, a traditional Tracer Genji, or maybe even a Tracer Sombra, where you just get harassment upon harassment and just being annoying. That could be a thing. Actually, I could see Hammond, Diva, Sombra, Doomfist as the disruption comp. That could be extremely annoying. Get Lucio or Zen in there as the utility healer, and I would say either an Ana or a Mercy.
I mean, I would probably say an Ana, because if you're going with, say, a Lucio, then yeah, you've got like that group healing, but it's quite slow, and especially with like the Mercy nerfs from the past.
Indeed.
The good old Mercy nerfs from the past. You don't heal as much as you used to now. About.
You could also make an argument for Mora, seeing as Ana is indeed a bit slower. If you go Ana, I would say you'd have to have a Lucio. If you go Zen, Zen is actually also quite difficult because he's also slow.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't speed boost
Zen
the Zen. You have to
Baptiste.
choose between speed boosting the Zen and the Ana, but yeah, the Baptiste could work.
Zen
Well,
Baptiste with
it's
that
not
comp.
gonna be Night Market or Gardens. It's gonna be the other map now.
It's gonna be Control Tower.
Control Tower. And I mean, I think I just saw Kiwi very quickly tease the Mei pick. It's quite strong on this map, especially if you can manage to just win that first fight, set up in that aggressive positioning of just outside your enemy's choke, and just wall people off as they come through. It can be so effective and horrible to walk into.
Indeed. There we go.
But we'll
Quickly
have to
going
see.
through the screens once more. Don't worry about that. That is me forgetting that I had to put a proper screen transitions on these screens because that makes it look far better.
Well, actually, both teams have opted for the Mei pick here. It's going to be interesting to see if whoever loses the first fight, if they're going to stick with the Mei or if they're going to swap off.
Well, it is indeed both teams going for a similar composition with like very high impact damage as the second DPS, going for the Reaper on one side for a bit more control, but the Junkrat on the other side for just straight up more damage.
Yeah, just spamming down the chokes. You're going to get so much ult charge. And you're really actually going to just completely shred player's shield.
Indeed, well, first wall comes in, player doesn't manage to get the charge off onto his enemy Reinhardt. The fire strike gets chucked in there, but now we indeed have Kiwi dropping extremely low. He is the first one to drop. No, Reinhardt means no shield. You're gonna have to use the wall for defense. The Reaper is still doing some damage here as Ludwig goes very forward here.
Yeah, well, you can actually see that AVX, they just decide that, okay, they lost their main tank, they're going to back out and wait for him to respawn. He is back, so now we're going to probably see the engagement.
Indeed, well, Mobius gets the pick off onto WBTC.
That's the Mei out of the fight, but Genji is actually coming up to a tower. He's going to have it for the next one. Meanwhile, you're actually going to have Peach with the sound barrier belt, so they could actually try and guard against this. They're all going to be grouped up, and Ludwig's bubbles are only going to save 2.
I mean,
You could just grab them as soon as they walk through that chokehold. They've
both
got
teams
only the sound barrier.
have a fair amount of ults. This is a tower coming in extremely early. Gets picked off by player. That is a huge pick. Asleep onto player as the Ana just flanks around in the backline. The Shatter gets blocked. Good block with the shield. Graph gets put in. Doesn't actually find anything. Now it's a Blizzard actually to counter this. With a nano on Kiwi, he's still holding on to life. Player dropping extremely low here. Has to play a bit defensively. Does the Shatter. Gets 2! Gets 3!
Oh, but player's actually gonna die during it. Oh no.
He is now the counter Blizzard is actually gonna let them pick up a lot of kills here.
Mobius just taking a little
But
bit of a
they're
nap
still-
before probably returning to spawn.
They're still just going for it. They're holding onto it. Nano now onto player.
He's staying alive. There's the grab.
Kiwi-
He's caught up in it, but there's no follow-up.
He first got grabbed, then he gets put into a Junkrat trap. So, main tank life, anyone?
It certainly feels like it. Actually, both teams still sticking with the Mei. Space Force actually not going to take the aggressive position. They're just going to wait around on point. They've got 88%. This is final territory, final fight territory for AVX.
Here they are now. The Death Blossom from Mobius comes in as PC Viking is freezing the enemy Reinhardt, who's having a lot of trouble just holding on. But PC Viking dropping extremely low, puts up a wall.
Well, this might be AVX finally managing to get some tick percentage. They've got Phosphorus Sign Barrier to fall back on if things get really dire, but I don't think they're actually going to need to throw it in. And that's good. It means that they're going to have just that little bit of extra defense for when Ludwig is going to have that grab up. This Lucio cannot use the sound barrier until Ludwig manages to grab.
You are very right. Keep in mind this is first to 3, so we indeed have a sort of best of 5. But we see a swap from Mobius off the Reaper to the McCree here.
Well, he's flashbang straight onto WBTC. I think we can see exactly why that swap came in. Just flashbang CC is so valuable.
The Shatter gets player on the ground, but the grab Blizzard is gonna just pull everyone together. Tara comes in, gets PC Viking out of play, but player just going nuts here, getting 3.
It's just the Junkrat and the Reinhardt on point, and the Zarya's gonna actually manage to come in. The bubble blocks player Shatter!
Mobius with the
There's no
dead
one to
eye.
follow up on the grab.
WBTC coming in for the stagger pick on Doomfist is gonna get taken out by his mirror pick, and this will be overtime ticking down.
Postman manages to just skate his way onto point, then gets antied, stunned, and just deleted in the quick succession of maybe 3 seconds of arriving. You have to feel so bad for that Lucio. He tried his little heart out.
He very much did. Well, now we're going to one of your favorite maps.
Yes, I do love gardens. It's no secret that I love gardens.
It is no secret.
It's the playground of fires, Belle. It's such a nice, just looking up into the sky, being like, oh yeah, that's some pretty clouds and some really nice big full moon, and oh, rockets of death aimed just straight at my face.
And boobs chucking you off the end of the clip.
Yeah, well, that's why you make sure that you stay away from the edges. There needs to be like caution tape around them, being like, warning, environmental full hit.
Indeed, well, we will see 2 different forms of dive from both of the teams. One going for the Winston Ham and the other going for the more classic Winston Diva. I've got McCree versus Widow here.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. McCree obviously being buffed, but Widow just needing that 1-tap headshot to kill.
It's dropping extremely low. We've got Kiwi going in quite aggressively to try and get that pick on the Widow. It's not going to manage.
Oh, it's AVX who are going to take the first point percentage. They are just kind of setting up. You've got Genji just overhead trying to rain some rockets and get that ultimate online faster than PC Vin King. And actually managing to do a much better job, 62% in comparison to 52%.
And indeed a much better job, as we now see the dive coming in onto point of first pick onto the Pharah here by Mobius. It's gonna get res, so how much value did they get? Now Mobius has to redo the fight all over again.
I mean, that was a very ballsy res, knowing that you just lost your Pharah to a Widow headshot and then going into the same spot without Valk, without really any ability, because you can't do the little jumps, you can't do the hops. You're just stuck there, but actually manages to get it off. Boss was gonna escape.
Well, Genji is not, as Mobius takes him down once again. Even in the last fight, the Mercy was also antied, but nobody really went for it, so the res indeed got off. Now we've got Vision coming up for Mobius, allowing everyone to see what's going on.
We've got a lot of things coming up. In fact, this fight is probably just going to be a whole lot of people pressing Q at the moment. AVX have pretty much everything.
As Barrage coming in, doesn't find anything though. Deadeye with the nano on top of it is going to delete player from the game. WBTC doing a lot of work on the McCree.
I mean, they had to throw quite a few things into it. They didn't manage to keep hold of Barrage, but they had to use the Primal and the Valk and the Nano and the Deadeye. They've only got 2 out of the 6 ultimates that they had to keep that 1 bit of point. Meanwhile, Space Force, they're going to be having a Primal of their own coming up, and they're going to have that Nano.
And indeed they are. Well, PC Viking is now popping in some damage of his own. As the Primal comes in, now the Barrage is gonna be deleted by Mobius together with a nice rocket. The res gets denied with the boob. That is a huge play. This will be an opening, but it is the point already at 99%, so this will be a difficult hold here for AVX. Actually, I had the team names the wrong way around, as I said before in the disclaimer.
Yeah, well, I mean, Space Force, they just had the ultimate advantage. They've managed to keep some of their ultimates in that engagement where AVX pretty much just threw everything in. Genji does think, oh, well, maybe the Barrage is going to save him, but then he gets just slapped, Diva Matrix, and just gone. PCV King, though, coming up to a barrage of his own again, so he might just drop into the backline and just try and take either Darky Phoenix or Frostbite just out of the fight immediately.
Well, the Diva Bombers plays quite well, forcing people to just move around. Lucas Merlin hiding on a little lip of the wall, just a very smart play there. But now we're seeing picks coming in. Magic Nacti getting player back up, so you got your main tank to try and keep pushing this.
Well, AVX are gonna have some staying power. They've got the primal, they're gonna throw it in right now. The PCV King is just finding all of the damage with these rockets at the moment. Lucas Mullen taken out. On the other side, Kiwi does manage to actually get Mobius.
He does, and he is still in the backline. He's gonna get Nano to be kept alive, but he's not gonna be kept alive. WBTC now off the McCree onto the Widow is gonna get booped off.
Well, Kenji is going onto the namesake. He's gonna be coming back onto that Cyborg Ninja. We'll see. They are waiting on just that one tiny little bit of percent left, but to do that they have to win a team fight, and so far they just haven't been able to find that one moment which just tips the scales for them.
Indeed, both Widows now with the visor up are gonna have a bit of a battle, which Mobius is gonna win with your Widow out of the fight. That allows the enemy Widow to do a lot.
This is so dangerous how AVX are just hanging around at the moment. You've got a bomb and you've got a barrage. You could potentially just throw bombs straight through, push them into a corner and barrage.
That is a sand barrier pushed into health. PC Viking to stay alive to use his barrage. Genji's gonna get his blade off getting Farah, but that's about all he gets with his blade, though WBTC wins the Widow battle in the background.
Yeah, well, at the moment, WBTC is just completely uncontested, able to fire all of these shots off into point without anyone really trying to stop. There is going to be a Lucio now, but just grapples away. But it's 99 to 99. They need to get on point.
Someone needs to get on point. Kiwi gets the pick on Magic Nacti. This is now 2 picks for Eclipse as they try to pull this back, but it's looking more and more difficult. Ludwig, however, getting 2 now, overtime ticking down. Victory. And that is AVX taking the first map.
Oh, it was close at the end.
It was very close. That was the chance that they had to get the victory there. But they're not gonna get it.
They're gonna get it. Well, we'll see if they manage to claw it back on the second map. It is looking quite close between these two teams. I think that they just have to kind of manage the ultimate a little bit more wisely. If you have 6 ultimates, you don't want to throw 4 into one fight, especially in that quick succession, because they Dead-Eyed and nanoed the McCree at the same time as the Monkey Pop Primal. You want to actually wait and see if Dead-Eye is going to get you anything, and then see, oh, it wasn't that valuable, maybe we do need Primal after all.
I mean, Deadeye has had his its reworks. It's now a tank buster, it's got a limited range, but it's still not really one of the strongest ults and quite easily denied. Like, is it really the one to put the nano on? Wouldn't you use Deadeye for a bit of zoning? Then you can use Primal to then boop everyone where they were hiding from the Deadeye, and then possibly when the Primal ends and you didn't get the fight win, then pop the nano to start doing damage on that. Just keep like layering stuff on top of there. But I
mean, you could have nanoed the McCree because you know how vulnerable McCrees who pop Deadeye are, right? Everybody hears that one line and immediately turns, and that poor DPS is just blasted in the face so many times that he kind of has to blink and wonder where exactly it went wrong. If you have a nano Deadeye, it just makes the McCree just that little bit extra chunky. Is, I think, the best way I can think to describe it. You have to put in a bit more couple of resources than, say, maybe just 2-tapping him twice with a Faro rocket.
Indeed. Well, I'm gonna have to check something real quick, whether I've got the information on the teams the correct way around, because I might be having this wrong. This is a new tournament, so we're trying to do it as best as we can. Let's see. I did have it wrong. My apologies. It was Eclipse indeed who got the first win.
I was gonna say, I was looking at my notes being like...
It's been a long day. I do apologize.
Yeah, I mean, you just came out of work. Well, second work.
This is also work. And it's heavy work.
Also work. This is more enjoyable work.
This is definitely more enjoyable work.
Well, this is not work anymore. This is Havana.
Well, I wish it was there now as opposed to work. I mean, what?
I mean, it's pretty sunny, isn't it? It's quite nice. I mean, I don't think as soon as the spawn doors open that you'll be wishing you're there, because I'm pretty sure that will be bullets flying and just all hell breaking loose, because I actually think I saw Space Force Eclipse toying with an idea of a bastion, which I'm hoping they are gonna stick with both teams going with this. Bell, we're gonna actually see the double turrets coming out of AVX. Just, you know, to be that little bit more annoying.
Indeed,
we'll stay PG here. The Torbjorn and the Bastion, they're gonna be so annoying to deal with, Bell. That's just the definition of irritating right there.
It very much is. Meanwhile, in the background, I'm totally not still fixing stuff.
But I mean, what's noticeable is that neither teams are actually opting for the Sombra. So how exactly are you going to rely on breaking these bunkers apart?
That is indeed the question. Well, I mean, you can try to out-bunker the bunker.
You could, and I mean, Space Force, they're gonna have a little bit more shield break because they've got PC Viking on that Hanzo. Just lob a couple of Storm Arrows at very early Immortality field out. But it actually pays off. They can go so aggressive because of it.
They can indeed, which gets WBTC out of the fight early. This is gonna pull out the res as well. Kiwi having some difficulty here trying to just set up WBTC again. Trying to just do what he can, but Mobius is already sitting down, which generally just kind of gives him the advantage. However, they're not set up on the high ground. They're just straight up set up on the floor. So if they decide to just push in aggressively, that's going to make this a whole lot more difficult.
It is, but if you actually look, Peach is just on the high ground where you normally see the bunker, trying to make sure that his team stay alive, trying to stay out of that hook distance, and it's actually working really well from his team. There is going to be a Sombra now.
Indeed, well,
WBTC
there's not going to be a player anymore as he just gets hot hooked into oblivion.
Yeah, this should be the bunker breaking apart, or they're just going to mow everybody down with the amplification matrix, but actually Mobius is hacked, so he can't take any advantage of it.
He can't. PC Viking, however, can, and he's going to get a few picks with the arrows here as Mobius tries to reset here. Immortality field is up. Mobius is not going to be able to reset as the hook comes in and just gets him away from his team. Players are finally back, and that is a whole hog going to be used as well.
I mean, you could go for the res. The Immortality field is still there. It's finally taken down by Lucas Mullen. But yeah, that is definitely going to be a decisive end, I would say, to the point A attack.
Let's see.
But if you're Space Force Eclipse, you are sitting on a Supercharger and soon to be a whole hog, and as well as that, the tank mode from Mobius. So you should, if you look at it from the Ultimate's perspective, win the next fight. You should.
Indeed, you should. Well, they're gonna actually get Mobius out of the fight quite early again. Mobius now not really being allowed to stay alive for that long, but Magic Nakti is gonna allow for a second life here. A whole hog getting used as well. Again, just now out of the fight.
I'm very surprised that they actually managed to get that res off of Mercy being so close, but that's going to be an amplification matrix actually coming out from what I would say the wrong team. Though I would not amplification matrix in that situation.
Indeed, as you're already losing, they might be going for a swap here. They are indeed. It's going to be Darky Phoenix going for the Ana and Phosphor going for the Mercy pick.
Well, it could be that you're just waiting for WBTC to just hit that huge 6-person EMP so you can just chuck an anti-nade in.
Yeah, you might indeed do. As
but
WBTC
they're
is
setting
getting
up in this tiny little room over the point, which is actually just perfect for an EMP. There's no line of sight to block it. Oh, 5-person!
As indeed a 5-people EMP player is the first one to drop to it, though Mobius gets a return pick on Genji and Ludwig now with the hooks just going nuts.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really seem to care that they lost their main tank. They're still pushing in on this.
They are indeed. Ludwig going hog wild. A beautiful anti-nade hits 3, but will there be enough follow-up? Kiwi gets the pick on Mobius. And Genji now back to getting his blade out as well. Just doing it on his own.
Yeah, Genji is kind of putting his team on his back right now, Bao. Just kind of carried them through. That was a very odd fight because the defenders actually swapped position to where the attackers normally go.
Well, I would advise Genji to contact his team manager for some health benefits, as physical therapy will be needed for their shoulders.
But, I mean, look on the bright side. If your Space Force Eclipse, you are going to have a couple of ultimates in the bank to just make sure that you can find some kind of foothold. But player is just going to turn straight back to spawn. Are they going to be able to risk the res? I don't think they can. Not with AVX just going so aggressively at the moment, pushing them almost all the way back to the spawn gates.
This will be a lot of free push that they can get with the payload. As both of these hogs are really doing a very good job with the hooks on either end.
I would say that was an early amplification matrix, because now what you can see so many teams do when an amplification matrix out is just pull back away from the line of sight. That's again a huge anti, and it forces out the immortality field. Have to deal with any of the ultimates that AVX want to throw.
Well, the payload is still getting pushed.
Bell.
The payload is still getting pushed.
There's no contest at the moment. Space Force are just forced to just pull back to those gates and wait for the Orisa.
And indeed, Eclipse are gonna have to do that. Now the Nano Blade coming in. That is the Mercy out of the fight first.
I think that's pretty much all of them.
That is actually his next up a kill, team kill. That is Eclipse or AVX just moving slowly onto this final point here with a solid 2 minutes 20 seconds left.
And I don't think anyone's going to be able to touch it. If they can, they just got EMP'd. What are they going to do? Is there any way they can possibly contest this and bring it back? Because there's just players on the point, but he's hacked. Now we just get a soldier running. Mobius is somehow still alive.
Dropping so low is still avoiding damage, but he's going to just get pushed away. That'll be AVX doing the full pusher.
Mobius was in the Matrix, pal. He was dodging bullets back and forth, left and right, just such moves. Lightning speed, but it just is not enough.
Indeed, it is not enough.
What are you gonna do now? I mean, I would actually say that they didn't really manage to find, apart from that beginning, where they had a really dominant showing, and it seemed as if they were gonna be the bunker to rule them all. After that, it just kind of fell apart. As soon as they lost the first fight, they just lost the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then point A, and then point B, and then just point C as well.
Yeah, after the initial push, especially with the swap off to Sombra, as they got a bit more traction, then it just kept on going. But it was also a bit of a thing where Eclipse seemed to lose their head a bit when the rotation came in, especially on second point.
Oh yeah,
they rotated around, and at that point, AVX just went, well, if you're standing there, we'll just push the payload. How's about that?
And I mean, there was just, they must have known that there was an EMP coming, because WBTC had been on that Sombra for long enough that they must have known, okay, we're running a bunker, we're running a hug, and we're running a bastion. That Sombra has to have EMP up by now. But not one of them actually hides, which is something you see so many supports do now with Sombra being where she is in the meta. When you know that an EMP is coming up, you hide out of line of sight to make sure that you're the one not hit by EMP to save your team who are. They don't do that. They all just kind of clump together in that tiny little room.
Indeed, as we now have Eclipse's own attempt at pushing the payload here. AVX actually taking the high ground defense.
Yeah, I think Space Force have kind of almost been dissuaded from the bunker, from the performance from the last round. That's just player going to be hooked in and actually manages to get out with his life. That's nothing short of a miracle.
Indeed, well, they are attempting to dive this as the payload just keeps chugging forward happily. And finally the payload is stopped here on the corner.
No,
they're still contesting.
The underneath
Peach and Magic Nacti indeed. Just kinda using the pillars to just keep pushing the payload here. Oh, a huge leap on Genji.
What are they gonna do? Because now the fight is inevitable.
Well, that was a very good combo. The sleep and the antinate onto the Bastion there, with then the Hammond Slam to just single him out, and that is your Bastion gone. So your main damage source just added away, and now Widow having to deal with dive is gonna have a lot of problems. Though gets Mobius just barely before he gets picked off by the enemy Genji.
Oh, that's a lovely mortality field as well, just making sure that everyone is staying up alive around that payload. And now that provides the means for Lucas to just go into the whole hog animation completely carefree. Players going to be in the backline, he might just drop mines over the payload.
Well, that is a blade coming in. PC Viking finding the Baptiste first and the other healer second. That's both the healers out of the way, but
Kiwi is throwing supercharges in. Okay, I think they can take this back.
well, Genji still has a bit of life left in him. That is that life pushed out of him. Well, that is the life pushed out of him by a diva.
That is like the definition of a caster curse spell. I mean, you have to apologize to Genji. I'm
nope,
pretty sure
because he was on 1 health with only an Narita. It was only a matter of time. I don't call
Player,
that a
what do you
caster
do?
curse.
Oh, player, that was so aggressive, and I think he's gonna be punished for that actually.
Player
No,
actually
he's
managing
going
to make it out.
That's something you don't see every day, because player was actually being chased by a Roadhog. He's finally gonna go down to Kiwi.
Well, the Widow battle is won by the side of Eclipse.
That's not gonna... No, they're not gonna go for the res. Okay, Darkly Phoenix is gonna hold on. Nope, they are gonna get the res off now, so it will be take 2 for Mobius and WBTC, and we can actually see player get stunned. He's not actually pressed Q, so the mines are still safe in his bank.
That is a diva bomb that gets Darky Phoenix as they actually use Valkyrie, so that is an ultimate gone with no real value.
I mean, you do get Valk pretty fast. We're not on the new PTR where it's 12% slower for all ultimates, so you get Valk around every 1k healing, I believe it is. So that's not really much skin off your back, but it is still an ultimate in the bank that you're not gonna have. Player? Did he roll off the map? I wasn't watching the hamster. He seemed to be in the back line.
Oh, a sleep comes in on Kiwi. Now a blade going into the backline as Genji tries his best, but the sand barrier just keeps everyone alive for now. Lucas Merlin getting no value for his whole hog as he just gets defense matrix and then slapped. Everyone is in a corner getting mined.
But there's a bomb there as well, so they can't really run away.
It's a 3-man bomb!
Combination.
Very beautifully placed.
I mean, that's communication and teamwork at its best. You know that they're all just shoved in a corner because they can't run away from the Hammond mines. If you try and run from the nuke, you run into the mines. It's death either way, and you have to decide which way you want to go out.
Indeed. Well, might as well reset quickly and get everyone out at the same time.
They're gonna be running into a Nano Blade at the moment, and if you look at AVX's ultimates, they don't really have anything to deal with it other than what's gonna be Darky's 1 Nano gonna be coming up. But who do you choose to save on your team?
Well, that is indeed the question. For one, we've got the Widow off now, both with their sights up. Mobius actually being primarily the victor here in this Widow battle. Now the Genji Blade comes in with the Nano. But PC fucking already really low here, is on barely any health left, but gets 2 picks still. One's gonna get rezzed up.
Genji is actually gonna be he's gonna have, I would say, his blade in the next engagement if he actually pops off. Judging on the way his ultimate is climbing, I would say, yeah, he's gonna have it for the next engagement. And Darky has actually been holding onto the Nano, so we're gonna see the opposition's Nano Blade, see what Genji manages to get with that.
Indeed, well, there is only 38 seconds, well, a bit less actually, before the time is slower than their counterpart. Lucas Merlin just trying to get them away, gets PC Viking out of the fight.
Mobius is actually taking really aggressive angles, goes up to where you normally see the defending Widow stand. But it's paying off because I actually managed to get the Ano.
Eclipse is still pushing this even though they were just basically 3 on the whole team.
Yeah, well, now they've got reinforcements coming back, and it's really a roadhog on his. And it's just blue in the kill feed. If you're AVX, how do you walk into this? The answer would be Primal and Nano Blade, but are they even going to manage to get it off in time?
Well, they get the Nano at least. Will they get the Blade? The Blade comes in quite late. Mobius will be taken out, but the bomb gets two again, including the Nano Blade.
Oh, the Winston was stuck in Primal, so he can't bubble. You could actually almost hear just the mashing of the keyboard button, waiting for the Primal to wear off to bubble, but just not in time. And it's Space Force Eclipse finally managing to come back. Finally, gonna be able to push the payload.
Indeed, they are. As it's now indeed going to be the full push for both of the teams. And we're gonna get a few extra rounds here.
We are, and if you're Space Force Eclipse, I would say forget about the Bastion bunker and stick with what you're running, because it's very obvious that you can run good dive. Meanwhile, the rotations, as you said before, they just haven't been there for Space Force. Just getting crammed into like one room, and you would say, well, okay, maybe if you can manage to get out, but just losing people on the way of getting out when you're all crammed staircase, just small things like that really separates teams from being able to run bunker and not being able to run bunker.
I mean, that is indeed a thing, how you run bunker yourself, but how do you run counter bunker? Do you just try to out bunker the enemy bunker? Or indeed, do you go for the Sombra, as we've seen before, which, when they actually went for it, worked really well for them, being able to hack out the Orisa to stop them from getting a reshield, to hack the Bastion to get him out of turret mode, to hack the Roadhog to not allow him to heal or hook. Like, there are so many options here to just deal with individual targets, and your EMP is just gonna deal with all of them.
Well, no Sombra necessary. There'll be no Bastion. There will be a bunker on the defense, but it will just be the Roadhog and Orisa with WBTC on the Widow and Genji on the other Shimada Brava, gonna be on the Hanzo.
Indeed. Well, it's gonna be a bunker with double sniper, as we've got Eclipse here going for a dive.
Where he is. He's waiting to boot them all off. Doesn't manage to get anyone off, actually.
The anti-nade comes in for both teams, but the kills come in for AVX.
Well, what do you do now with your Space Force? You just kind of try and do what you did before. Get the payload to go as fast as you can while being underneath, but they're just... What AVX are actually doing now, they realized that before they weren't able to contest this payload because they had a Bastion who couldn't really move past the shield. If, say, you're a Hanzo and a Widowmaker, you can move a little past the shield, look down and shoot them. They can't hide behind the pillars anymore.
We've got player kind of playing around with a Roadhog. Actually, Lucas Merlin dropping low, got anti there. The payload's still moving at the moment, but a Roadhog out of the fight is gonna slightly open up this defense.
They like AVX have to drop down now that the payload has actually made it past that high ground, and it's gonna be player with the mines. Actually, he can just drop them straight in front of the payload. Means contesting is gonna be so difficult.
Well, the Ana drops extremely low. Keyword drops in the bongos, the supercharger there, but Blade not going. PC Viking fighting Dark Phoenix, but it's gonna get picked up pretty damn quickly. A rest coming in on Darky Phoenix as they try ever so much to hold on to this point and try to push it to the first checkpoint, but everyone's there from AVX while barely anyone's there from Eclipse.
Well, they're not really focusing on targets either at the moment. WBTC is just standing on the high ground raining shots, and meanwhile you've just got player trying to stay alive. Same with Ludwig. They're not cooperating and going, okay, everybody onto this target, take them out of the fight, then perhaps onto the next one.
Well, overtime dropping pretty damn quickly as we go to the fourth round with Eclipse not taking a point.
It will be difficult. They have to defend for 2 minutes. And I mean, what happens if AVX run with the bunker? We saw how quickly it ripped through Space Force.
Indeed, it did quite quickly. Well, they've got 2 minutes. What will be their tactic?
I mean, they could experiment. They could start off with the bunker, see if the initial push works, and then swap onto something that is maybe a little bit more ultimate reliant.
Indeed. Well, we shall see. We've got an offensive bunker with Genji's Sombra. Well, it will be upon the Sombra to charge his EMP to try and break through this. If the Sombra doesn't manage to get the EMP or the right hack targets off with the right follow-up especially, then this is going to be quite difficult.
Well, this is all going to be on Space Force's just tank line to try and make sure, especially Ludwig. As soon as WBTC shows his face, the hook needs to come off. You need to cancel out the hacks. We'll have to see exactly how well it works. They're going aggressive, and this could either work out dividends or could cost them the map.
Indeed, it's a very forward bunker, as we already see some people trying to go behind. But Genji is going to be the first one to drop here to a hog hook. WBTC trying to get a bit of a hack off, trying to get some ult charge. 25% with a minute and a half left.
The Sombra's not really finding their EMP charge at the moment. Only 25% and 20% across the board for that. But oh no, player goes down. Are they going to be able to get the res off? They're looking for it.
The immortality field is going to help with that. Gonna get player indeed back up again. The halts coming in for both teams. As starting to look a bit more scrappy, as the teams don't really have the proper bunker setup anymore. Just trying to just have some form of positioning. PC Viking getting removed there. Just the halt hook coming in. The res on Lucas Merlin, who just got mowed down by the Bastion, who's still going on with just the damage. Phosphor dropping pretty damn soon after his amplification matrix getting used here, along with the supercharge. That is going to be a whole lot of damage that you're going to have to try to deal with.
I mean, you've got so many ultimates across either boards. PC Viking isn't going to have the EMP, but WBTC is. This could be huge. This could be what breaks it. They're going to have 39 seconds to just try and find some way to just bash this through.
Well, they've got a Genji Blade and an EMP. That should be enough.
And I mean, you could throw supercharges in because this is potentially going to be the last fight. Space Force, if they lose this one, I would say they're going to have one more chance at contesting before that payload goes. Maybe two more if you manage to get lucky, but EMP is going to get almost all of them.
Except for Peach. The Batiste is still alive, but the immortality field
is going to find all of the value, Val.
The immortality field doesn't manage to keep them alive, and that is indeed a full team kill. Will they manage to get back in time with a very aggressive hold? The payload still has a bit to go.
I don't know. They aren't swapping. There's gonna be no Lucio to speed boot. Oh, there will be Peach there onto the Lucio, going to try and just. The contest will come through.
Well, we've got PC Viking with their own EMP.
But they're not touching the point.
They're not touching the point, but that's a 5-man EMP allowing them to start pushing in. They get a pick up to Phosphor. Genji, however, gets a return pick, but the whole hog gets the main tank out of the way. No one can reshield. It's Lucas Merlin on the point, double together with WBTC. They're gonna get picked up over time, taken down. Eclipse getting the second map.
I don't know how.
The huge plays just, for some reason, just the silver lining of not being able to use the EMP allows them to use it so late on, getting the 5 people to just get the initial picks to turn it back.
Not only that, but the aggressive positioning that they set up in. If they'd gone for the high ground and had to drop down when the point was coming in, and they'd lost that fight the way they had, they wouldn't have been able to contest. But because they go so aggressive, so forward, it makes sure that they just have that second opportunity, and it really pays off for them.
And indeed, it does really pay off for them. As we will be going into the next map, let's see. That was indeed a very good game here. Oh, I should actually edit the score, and while I'm at it, it's probably a good idea to make sure that the scores are actually correct.
That would help, yes. Yes,
this time correctly for Eclipse. I do indeed apologize for that before. But it looks like it will be King's Row for the next one.
Well, then I'm sure we can see the Widows returning.
We might see the Widows returning. We might also just see more bunker.
We could see more bunker. We could see a little bit
on first point defense, to be specific. On attack, that becomes a bit of a different story. And especially in Streets phase, I would still favor the Ryan Zarya.
Yeah, I mean it's just it used to kind of be that you would see a lot of goats, but this is now being a 2-2-2 means that you can't just grab a Lucio and speed boost free of your tank straight into the enemy's face.
Indeed, you cannot. I mean,
technically, you could still grab a Lucio and a Ryan and a Zarya and speed boost into the enemy's face, but
yeah.
There's a little bit more variety, and it's something that we're actually going to see come to Overwatch now that 2-2-2
I mean,
has been confirmed and is out on PDR.
It is indeed. But it is still a strong play to get the Lucio to speed boost your Ryan and Zarya onto the point. Like, it is one of those tiny things that at lower elos is not really used, but when you get into higher elos, and especially in team games, getting that speed boost past the choke and just have that Reinhardt with that extra speed just barreling at you with a rocket-propelled hammer, like, that is a scary sight to behold.
Oh yeah, it's one of the worst surprises in the world. You're like, yeah, we're safe, we're fine. Then you check for a hotel and suddenly there's like an angry German with a really big hammer just ready to smash it into your head. No, not a happy time, Belt. Not a happy time at all.
Indeed, and if your Reinhardt goes that aggressively, then getting all that ultimate charge is whacking away, and that is indeed where just the play comes in. Let's see. Well, people are still getting iffy about like the naming convention and how this all looks, so okay, fine. We're gonna move this very slowly around as Kingsrow loads in the background.
That's fine. I'm gonna go check into the hotel. Maybe they've got a spare room.
There we go.
It should be cheap, right? The doors are open. You can just walk straight in.
It should be.
A little bit of problem with the lift. It's been out of order for what, 4 years now? They haven't even put up a sign, Belle.
Have they not?
No. You can try and press the button and it does nothing.
Well,
so someone needs to get on that. They need to hire a mechanic.
So, what were you talking about?
The lift in the Alderwood Hotel.
It doesn't have buttons?
It has buttons, but they don't work.
Well...
You have to have buttons that work.
You can always just take the stairs behind the point, or if you're a Genji, just leap up. It's not that difficult. It is very much not that difficult.
Fine, but I mean exercise, pal. It's gonna be a Doomfist that we're actually gonna see from Genji. I'm kind of excited for this. I want to know if he's gonna be sticking with it, because there are a couple of places that you can just slam into people and smash them against walls.
Indeed. Well, checking out of the hotel, we're gonna be checking in on the teams going indeed both for Ryan Zarya compositions, both also going for the Sombra.
Well, if you're Genji, now you're actually looking at your pick and going, oh no, because Doomfist can just be shut down completely by the Sombra hack.
Well, we've got a hack onto Darky Phoenix here, first of all, so no anti-nade, but it's gonna be Peach who's gonna be the first to drop here. Your break out of the fight. Kiwi, however, is also gonna drop. That is gonna push the attack back just a little, as Ludwig with the high charge is trying to push back, is giving up his life for it.
Yeah, but at the moment there's no point contest. Absolutely none, and even though there were people alive on the side of Eclipse, they just let it go, really. AVX just take up point, refuse to leave. And they get it, and that is the payload going to be starting with through streets. And now AVX can just go super aggressively. They can make sure that they skip the first choke entirely.
Indeed they can.
This is really good play from AVX and awful like for Eclipse. And again, the shatter just comes straight through, not allowing them to set up, not allowing them to group.
Indeed, and getting Peach out of the way, so that is your Lucio gone. As this fight is going very aggressively, they're going to use the coalescence to try and push back here, but the payload has already moved past the first initial choke, so that is some Yeah, that is indeed some push that they already get. But 2 more picks come in. PC Viking player dropping first in this next team fight as Genji just on the Doomfist.
This is the power of the speed boost.
This is the power of the Doomfist.
They're speed boosting both the Zarya and the Doomfist and the Reinhardt forward. If the Reinhardt is about to be taken down, then you can speed boost him or bubble him. The Doomfist can get out on his abilities. You can just go so aggressively. You can pick up any stragglers on the side of Eclipse, not allow them to get set up. You will actually see quite a few ultimates for Eclipse in the bank, but on the other side, AVX have been sitting on quite a few of their own. That's 5 ultimates in the bank, as opposed to only 3 in Eclipse, and they can just press Q.
Well, that is indeed one of their ultimates. That is an EMP that gets used up here. PC Viking finding a quick pick onto Kiwi. That's the main tank out of the fight. Now trying to push back here, but this is something that they've now invested after AVX already got 2 points here with 5 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, so they get the next quick spawn.
Oh, wow, players looking for the bumper shatter. He's behind. They don't know. Oh god!
There's a 5-man shatter! Getting away with the pick. We had the Ana trying to do the sleep, but didn't actually manage to just get it off.
Oh, she's gonna be hunted down. No, she's gonna be safe and spawn at the moment. Oh, player, this is why you check your corners, people. Kiwi is gonna be looking for some revenge. He has a shadow of his own. Let's see if he manages to get anything half as good as players.
Well, that is an EMP that gets used up here. But PC Viking negates it by just killing all of the enemy team with the High Noon.
Okay, so what PC Viking does is he takes advantage of Kiwi going for a Narnia charge onto player, which takes the Reinhardt out of the fight. So Kiwi's thinking, oh, this is good for my team, there's no Reinhardt shield in the way. But PC Viking goes, oh, there's no Reinhardt in the way. Cool. And Deadeyes, and AVX just have nowhere to hide.
Well, that is an EMP that finds 5, allowing for Eclipse to start pushing back once again after a pretty hard snowball. They're starting to look like they've found their footing, and they're rotating these ultimates so well. Ludwig now with a graph ready together with the coalescence. Like, they will be able to keep holding on to this, though they do have to keep in mind Phosphor has the sound barrier ready.
And I mean, we could see the Nano onto Kiwi as well. If he shatters, he could put up a second one in the same fight.
Indeed, well, that is the grab together with the coalescence, actually. The shatter gets blocked and we get a pulse.
I don't know if that was Kiwi just slamming his keyboard in frustration, because that shatter just went straight into player's shield.
Indeed, it did.
Oh,
well,
no, we have
an unfortunate disconnect from the Ana. Well, that is unlucky.
Well, that means that you lose your Nano. I mean, Nano does build up pretty fast if you're having tanks taking damage, and especially in these kinds of fights. It is that, like, your tanks just take so much damage that you get Nano up pretty much almost every second fight. And you did manage to get Eclipse to invest a couple of ultimates. You have the Coalescence just blazing a beautiful path of rainbows across the screen.
Indeed, but one thing to keep in mind here as we still look at the top of the screen, not on stream unfortunately, but as we look at the top of the screen, we see that indeed Kiwi and Phosphor have used their ultimates. So that is Sound Barrier and indeed the Shadow that we just saw getting walloped into a shield are now gone. And as your Ana has disconnected, that is that ultimate charge gone, which means that at the moment, player still has his Shatter. And from the side of AVX, from side of Eclipse, I would actually say I can't see where Mobius is at the moment from my perspective.
Let's see if I can... Oh, he's on the high ground. The little bit of railing right above AVX. He's just standing on that fire.
Okay, well, if Mobius indeed gets the hack off onto Kiwi, that's a free shatter just after the sound barrier.
He is indeed behind the entirety of AVX at the moment, and they're a little bit preoccupied with the Coalescence just being sprayed straight into their faces. So it could be curtains. Yeah.
If Kiwi gets hacked, that is going to be a free shatter. And that is going to be another team fight win for Eclipse. And how the team fights have been going after the initial snowball, it's been going really well.
Yeah, and Mobius could actually put. Oh no, he's just gonna die. He was shooting at Genji.
Well,
but it doesn't matter, play against the Shadow Rift anyway!
Doesn't need the Sombra, doesn't need the help. Just shatters the enemy team, gets the fight win.
I think Kiwi only really, that might have been to blame for the post on the post screen, like the Reinhardt's coming back into the fight. His shield maybe wasn't up when he returned in. He thought it was. Player gets Shatteroff, just quicker reflexes.
I mean, this is a competition, so you take your fight wins where you can get them. Though that is Mobius out of the fight. That is not what you want to see.
Well, AVX are actually making some headway. They've finally been able to get past that little choke now. They're going to be able to push the payload further and further because they just need to stagger the Zarya.
So this is indeed now a thing that on payload maps is very much a thing. Like, you lose one player, two players, and you start moving back. But the enemy team keeps pushing in and they get slow picks. You don't get a full team reset, so they're gonna get more payload push, and that is PC Viking just getting deleted by a Sonic arrow. Genji on the Hanzo getting kill after kill, as it will be a full push here.
That was indeed a full push, and things looked really grim. I didn't think they would have managed that full push. I really didn't, especially when we came back from that pull screen and they all get shattered, and they didn't really manage to recover from the initial when they started losing after the snowballing. They just didn't seem to find anything to really hit the nail on the head to just get them past that little archway there.
Well,
but they managed it.
It was the initial pick on Mobius that forced everyone to go back. They after that used the high noon to keep on pushing, which got Peach down, and at that point indeed just the pulling back became a lot more difficult. And I would say very much after Mobius died and you see that they're gonna rotate around and just start pushing in, you just haul ass back. Just go straight back, reset with your team, get Mobius into the fight, because he almost had EMP.
He did, and
just
I think that was why losing him in that fight was such a blow, because I think they were all really relying on that EMP to be up. He was sitting on 53% ult charge when he went down, and ult charge to a Sombra is basically a bag of peanuts. You get EMPs up really quickly, especially when you're just chunking all of that damage into tanks and front lines and ports. You get EMP up so fast, it's such a really quick building ultimate. Losing the Sombra when you're maybe, I don't know, I would say about 40% above for the EMP, it really does, like, it's a massive blow to you.
I mean, Mobius was actually up to 70% at that point, and if you then reset hard with your team, just go straight up back, don't get picked off, you would have had that last fight, especially with the high noon that they still had ready. But we're gonna see how they're gonna do their attack as they start pushing in here with their own round Zarya position, as Mobius tried to get his first hack, but it's going to be PC Viking with the initial kill onto Genji, opening this fight up completely.
Mobius hasn't actually managed to get that hack off. He's really been looking for it. But it doesn't matter, because even though the first pick went AVX's way, Eclipse are apparently just going to be able to take the point anyway.
Well, AVX indeed just... I apologize. Eclipse just standing on point. AVX not really pushing back. They just get all of the free point grab.
Yeah, well, now they can do exactly what AVX did. And that's just push up, completely negate the first choke, which is a horribly notorious choke that teams really actually struggle to get past. You can hold that payload such a long time at that choke, but look, they've just gone forward so much that they just completely bypass it.
Indeed, well, they are indeed fighting now straight up at the second point at the moment, finally falling back, trying to get the payload to move a bit faster as they already ran the first corner. So
well, you can expect the nano to be thrown onto Kiwi and him to just charge, because that will get the last little bit of his shadow. But
well, he's not going to do it now, because indeed the shatter comes in, finds through the counter shatter, doesn't find anyone, however.
The sleep does, though.
Well, that is now a fight lost for Eclipse as the payload now stops. So this is the first blow to their time as they lose this second fight here on the streets phase here, and a late pick onto Peach. That is more time burnt off the clock.
Yeah, well, now they can actually move up and try and fight at this choke now. Eclipse just kind of managed to AVX managed to bypass it completely, but because Eclipse lose that second team fight, they have to come through. But actually, AVX are just gonna pull back. Be very passive at the moment and just give up all of the ground. And Eclipse, all they have to do is press W.
Well, that's a Graph together with a Dragon that is going to do a lot of damage, and the Deadeye is going to get once more the initial pick to open up the fight and start pushing back. This is starting to look a bit more difficult this time for Eclipse.
Well, no. Because look at Eclipse's ultimates. They've got Dragon, they've got Nano, they've got Grav, they've got EMP. Look at AVX's. They're gonna have a Shatter, they're gonna have a Nano, and they're gonna have a Sound Barrier.
Yeah, well,
Nano is probably gonna keep Kiwi alive for a little bit longer than he should. Phosphor might be able to get the Sound Barrier off, but Mobius can just EMP it up.
That's a Shatter comes in now. It's gonna be a Grav Dragon gonna delete Kiwi straight up here, so that is the main tank out of the way. We now have WBTC with just a bit of a wrong rotation away from his team. It's gonna get singled out and picked up.
Oh, Phosphor and the Sound Barrier trying to keep Kiwi alive.
It was just
oh, they're not gonna
enough.
have it for the EMP response. That's basically a free team win for Eclipse at the moment.
Well, Mobius is having some trouble as he keeps getting found out here. The Shatter comes in, gets Phosphor on the ground, but no kill directly off of it. But this is now indeed another point taken.
Eclipse have the advantage at the moment because if you look at AVX, they're gonna have the defensive Nano and they're gonna have a Grav, the Dragons possibly to combo, and maybe a Deadeye. Peach is gonna have the Transcendence, which will negate the Grav. Mobius will have the EMP, which will negate all ultimates. And really, you can just throw Dragons into the team that are EMP'd, which completely negates Sound Barrier, because Phosphor is actually gonna have another one up. Mobius has been holding onto this EMP for so long that the Lucio has actually lacked an ultimates.
And this is... it is indeed Mobius as we've been looking around. That is an EP that finds 5 now. It's going to be a Nano onto WBTC. It's going to get deleted Peach now. The Zenyatta going at it. The Graph gets invested, but that pulls out the Transcendence. It's going to keep a bit more alive, but it's not going to save from a headshot. Both Shatters coming in. Peach now on the floor. Payload still not moved fully around, and now they've invested the EMP, but indeed after way too long, and Phosphor didn't even have to use Sound Barrier.
Yeah, which means that he's got it for Ludwig's Grab that's going to be coming online in just a couple of moments. Phosphor really actually popping off on this Lucio, and Mobius is just going to swap off to the McCree. I think that's a wise decision, especially if you're just going to sit in an EMP for, what was it, a minute and a half?
Well, as we had been following Mobius around for a bit on the Sombra, that is a huge anti. Now a Grab indeed to push the rest as well, the Nano onto the Reinhardt. But AVX are just going to pull back, but Kiwi now out of the fight. Both tanks gone, the both however onto player. But will that be enough? They already have 3 picks, Payload is still moving. Nano on the McCree can't get a point.
Oh, Genji was on the high ground just to the left of the payload, but he doesn't touch the payload. There's no contest, and only too late does he realize this and try and jump in desperation towards it, but he's just too far away.
He is indeed too far away, and the time banks are so similar. There's 2 minutes 22 and 2 minutes 24.
It is very close, but I am on the edge of my seat here, and I'm thinking, what would have happened if Mobius had just used that EMP a little bit earlier?
As I said, we had been following Mobius around. He tried to get to the high ground, like the middle high ground, where you usually will see a Widow or a Hanzo just buggering about a bit. And he missed his translocator, which landed behind the enemy team, which no one on AVX actually noticed. As Mobius translocates to trying to get to the high ground and just suddenly sees himself behind the enemy team. Tries to get to the high ground, gets found out there as well, is forced to move once again, but he then starts setting up behind the enemy team once again, and at that point I'm just kind of like, you were already behind the enemy team, nobody saw you.
Why didn't
go
you
and Viz EMP.
Yeah, I mean, you have to stop thinking you're gonna get 6 people EMP. EMP is good if you get a 6-person, really good if you get 6-person. But it's so impactful just to hack 2 people.
If you get both of the tanks and possibly you pull out the sound barrier, like we saw they had a grab dragon soon after, but now going into the next round, they're gonna have to start dealing with the Mei. Gonna be Genji dropping first. Doomfist out of the fight, WBTC onto the Mei, dropping a bit low, actually makes it behind the shield. It's gonna be a bunker that they have to deal with. Both teams with a Mei now.
Oh, but the Ana gets a gun to survive. Magic Knacked, that's a miracle. There's such a huge anti onto the Eclipse though.
Well, Kiwi's gonna get burned down, so that is the first main tag out of the way. No more shield. Gonna allow PC Viking to keep on freezing everyone here. The Mei just...
There's no contest, pal.
There's indeed no contest.
Right of the point.
AVX again is not getting on the point, allowing Eclipse to just all of the point grab.
Well, they don't have the Lucio, so they can't just speed boost into the enemy team, which means that they have to take it a little bit slower. They're not going to go as aggressively because they don't have that emergency pull-out button. Instead, they're just going to go a little bit halfway. And player, are you being a sneaky Reinhardt again? It looked like he was thinking about hiding out in a...
He doesn't have Shatter just yet, and it's gonna be a bit more difficult to pull it off versus an Orisa Hog composition.
Yeah, well, at least you know where this shield is going to be. He's looking for it, see? He's gonna have it online. He's hiding out in the bar. Just throwing a little bit of a fire strike in, trying to charge it up.
Now PC Viking now taking a fight with Genji, which Mobius is gonna clean up. That is Hanzo away here. One person down is now 6 versus 5, and that is a Shatter. Both of the supports in the Shatter is going to be the Blizzard push in as well to confirm it, as the payload just keeps merrily chugging along.
And well, WBTC actually got slapped. Is up on that high ground, unable to do anything as the payload rolls past, and it should just go into second point.
A much cleaner streets phase, though Genji gets a late pick onto PC Viking, but with 10 seconds left, it's going to be overtime soon, and there were only 5 people. Mobius uses ultimate in spawn, is going to indeed use that to swap, but they only have 4 people on the point at the moment.
But they have to get in there fast. Mobius is actually going to go into the Widow to just try and contest WBTC. A Widow uncontested is a scary, scary thing.
Well, this is a Nano onto player now. Nano onto Kiwi as well, but the anti-nade is so big. Kiwi dropping so extremely low. No real value for really either of the antis, but the Shatter does find value. Kiwi on the floor is also going to get discorded. Another Zarya bubble getting pulled out here.
Kiwi finds PZ Viking. Mei taken out, Widow taken out. This is starting to be a little bit more red.
Shatter not finding anyone, but the Hanzo is the dragon straight across the point. Ludwig being the first to drop. But that is a lot of push here that you got.
That is a lot of push that you arguably shouldn't have gotten, considering the way that you managed to actually start the payload moving. What is it about these two teams that don't really seem to want to step on to contest the point, Bell? Both times we've actually seen both teams just kind of dance around it, and it can work. It's a defensive strategy that really can work, as long as every so often you touch the point.
Well, I would say at especially on streets phase, running the bunker still is actually a bit more difficult versus Ryan Zarya, because they could just walk into you. You don't really have anything to really hide around from, because you have to get distance, otherwise the Reinhardt's just gonna wallop you in the face. So with Orisa playing around the corners, it's a lot more difficult. You won't get that much value, and I think that is kind of where this problem was.
Well, I think Eclipse actually know that they have a little bit of time to burn, considering exactly how far they managed to push that payload, which is why they're going for this Bastion. If they get completely rolled through this point and they lose it, it's not really any skin off their back. They can just kind of fall back into, say, the Reinhardt Zarya for streets phase. They'll have 2 minutes to defend.
Indeed they will. They got 2 points, so they've got some opportunity to get some good push in. They have the Bastion strats, they do have the Mei as well, but on the other side we have WBTC with the Sombra. That might be the pick to GD. Mobius being the first one indeed to get hacked, and is going to be immediately Genji dashing in there. A wall that doesn't really provide anything.
This is, again, I think they're going to just give up the first tick.
No, they're not.
No,
they're
they're
actually
not.
keeping their toe on the point.
I think they've
Mobius
learned
hacked
from their
again.
mistakes.
That is 2 opening picks. It's probably going to force AVX to go back, and that is already 40 seconds off of the clock with no tick gotten.
I mean, at this point, you want to just have Phosphor speed boost everybody out. You don't want to be hanging around when you have an Orisa hug combo, because you can just get pulled straight back into the fight if you try and move out too reluctantly.
Indeed. Well, at this point especially, you will see Eclipse just trying to hold on for as long as they can. Indeed, gotta try to full hold this, but that's indeed a shatter. The wall!
Whoa!
And the Blizzard's gonna just freeze him. No shatter or nano for you, Kiwi. As May just says, get out of here.
Oh, you have to feel so bad for that main tank right now, Bal.
That is so painful. That is something that I expected them to lose. But they hold on to it just as one mage is
They do, but
actually
they're
doing
going
the
to have
carry.
to weather the storm of the EMP, and WBTC is looking for it now.
Yeah, but at this
they don't
point,
have any defensive ultimate to just try and stay alive through it. They're only going to have an immortality field.
but they do use Immortality Field, and it keeps him alive for a bit. They get Kiwi out of the fight again. Now the Amplification Matrix, will that be enough? Genji's still getting some kills here onto the Baptiste.
Well, PC Viking actually managed to Ice Cube, but away from the point, not able to contest during that, has to come out of it early. And it's just all red in the kill feed right now. I think this is going to be the point going
Indeed,
to
but they're
AVX.
just trying to stall for as long as they can, as it is just 15 more seconds before overtime starts ticking down. If AVX loses one team fight, that's it.
Well,
That's all
if
they
you
get.
If you look at the board right now, it is looking decidedly in the favor of Eclipse. They have 3 ultimates, soon to be 4. And
Well-
I mean, you're going to want to stay on the payload. Are you going to want to stay on the payload in the face of the Bastion tank loading and a super treasure? I think not.
Well, that's WBTC out of the fight. Sombra gone. Genji as well. The Shatter gets used here. Will that fight enough? It is PC Viking and Peach out of the fight. Kiwi dropping extremely low, even with the nano. Mobi is just mowing him down, but might this be in too aggressive angle? The reinforcements can come in pretty damn quickly from the attacker side.
Yeah, it is actually slowly starting to go the way of Eclipse. And that's AVX. That's Eclipse just pulling away slowly, and AVX getting
Push.
through the choke.
They do, but they use 3 ultimates. They
They did,
only
and they're
have...
going to have to go into a blizzard. I mean, Phosphor has to hit this sound barrier to keep his team alive for this May ultimate. That's really what's going to decide whether they're going to be able to survive for the next fight.
Well, it is overtime. If they get everyone off the point, the overtime bar is going to tick down so fast right now.
Yeah, well, Genji is just trying to build up to Blade as fast as he possibly can, but he's only at 14%. He's not going to
That
have it up
is-
for the next fight.
The Blizzard onto the point. It's going to pull out the sand barrier. Will that be enough to keep everyone alive? That is 2 opening picks. That's overtime ticking down. Barely getting back to the point. Kiwi trying whatever he can. But there's no supports anymore.
Yeah, there's just Genji now. And WBTC just trying to hide around this payload, crouching,
It's not going to
stealthing,
be able
doing
to.
everything he can.
Overtime ticking down. Eclipse taking their 3rd map. And with the best of 5, that is their victory.
That is
Eclipse
the victory
winning round
indeed.
3.
Congratulations, Space Force Eclipse.
Eclipse currently in their bracket, in their group, undefeated going into the semifinals.
Golden stage, pal.
It is a golden stage. Will they be able to take the full tournament? That is going to be the question that you will be asking, but you will be able to see more of the Space Force tournament tomorrow as we go into the semifinals for this. Let's update the score to represent that correctly. So indeed, 3-0 to Eclipse with a very good 3 games, very clean 3 games, though still close games. I don't want to just dismiss AVX because both of the escort maps went really close to each other.
I mean, AVX, they had some really good plays. We saw the Genji, we saw the Pharah, we saw the Sombra.
It was a lot of good and interesting
Some really
plays
nice
with
antis as well. Some great play from both Annas.
Indeed, great play from both of the teams. So congratulations to Eclipse. Also, congratulations still to AVX. Well played to AVX. Well played to Eclipse. And I think that's going to be it for this. It is the victory already. It was best of 5, so that will be it for tonight.
The clean 3-0.
Indeed. Well, be sure to check out everything. We've got links indeed to the Twitches in the screen, as you can see. Also, stay followed to Space Force TV, where we will be checking everything out. So follow everyone, follow everything, go check everything out, and be sure to be there again tomorrow as we see the semifinals. Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, no, stop watching us and go test out Rocky. It's
test
great.
out Rocky. It's the best thing. Have a good evening.